my dear students, welcome back to Plus 2 Biology. Today we will be discussing population ecology from the chapter Organisms and Population. You know, ecology has many branches like community ecology, population ecology, etc. And in our first class we have discussed about the different types of responses of organisms and different types of adaptations of organisms, and today we will be talking about the population ecology. And you have studied the ecological level of organization, and you know in the levels the basic level is an organism, and a group of organisms lead to what a population is. Okay, anyway, population can be best defined as a group of organisms which inhabit a common area. So they share common resources and they are competing for that resources. So keep in mind, a population is defined as a group of individuals of same species inhabiting a geographical area which share and compete for the similar resources. So when we discuss about a population has many characteristics. What are the characteristics of a population? Okay, the major characteristics of a population we are discussing under population attributes. The population attributes, the characters of a population include birth rate, death rate, sex ratio, age distribution and population density. The 5 major characters or attributes of a population we are going to discuss are birth rate, death rate, sex ratio, age distribution, the age pyramidal form, then and population density. Let us move to the details one by one. Okay, the first character of a population, it is the birth rate. For an individual, we can speak, we have what? An individual has birth and death. Whereas when we discuss about a population, we call number of individuals are existing. So we calculate the birth rate and death rate. So understand, for an individual there is birth and death, whereas for a population there is birth rate and death rate. Okay, then how can you define birth rate? Very simple fact. Birth rate is defined as per capita increase. Okay, birth rate is defined as per capita increase. That means the increase to the total, per capita increase. Suppose there is a pond, and in a pond for a particular period of time, initially there was 20 lotus plants. Okay, there were 20 lotus plants initially, and during a period of time 8 more plants were added. Okay, just keep in mind how to calculate the birth rate is increase per total. How many increased per total? So the rate will be, the birth rate is represented as B. The birth rate is defined as per capita increase. It is the increase, number of individuals added to the total. So in the same way, when we discuss about death rate, it is the per capita decrease. So it is calculated as number of individuals died in a particular period divided by the total number of individuals. Okay, so the same way we have calculated the birth rate, we can do this. Okay, so suppose for an example, initially there were about 100 individuals in a petri dish. Any individual micropopulation or any population in a petri dish, and during the course of the experiment in a week, suppose 10 of them died. Okay, the death rate will be 10 by 100. This is a way to calculate birth rate and death rate in a population. We have taken very simple example, and anyway consider this, for a population there will be birth rate and death rate. Whereas for an individual, it is birth and death. Similarly, for an individual, when we consider an individual, it may be either female or male. the sex we say. The individual sex may be male or female. Whereas in the population, when we consider, we tell it as sex ratio. The characteristic of the population is sex ratio. That means number of male and female individuals. The percentage of male and female individuals represent sex ratio. For example, if in a population there is 60% male, okay, then 40% female population, female individuals, then we can call it as in percentage. We can tell this in percentage. So keep in mind, for a population, another important character is sex ratio. This indicates the percentage of male and female individuals in the population with respect to the other. Okay, 40% female, 60% male, like. Okay, the next attribute, what is it? The age distribution. For a person, for an individual, there is a definite age. Whereas a population, we call the characteristic as age distribution. And age distribution, when we discuss about a population, in a population, there are mainly 3 types of age groups. The age groups can be defined as pre-reproductive age group, reproductive age group, and post-reproductive age group. So based on that, we are drawing age pyramids here. Just keep in mind, in a population when we speak, there are 3 types of age groups. Pre-reproductive group, okay, before reproduction, before marriage, before reproduction. Then youngsters, the reproductive group. Then the next post-reproductive group, aged people, all people group. Okay. Then anyway, keep in mind, when we plot the age distribution of a population in the form of pyramid, we get age pyramids. Okay, it's a pyramid representation of age distribution of a population. The lowermost tier, the lower tier indicate what? Pre-reproductive group, and the middle tier here reproductive group, and the upper tier is post-reproductive group. Okay, so just listen here. There are 3 types of age pyramids based on this age group. The first type is an expanding age pyramid. You can see its shape is triangular. Okay, in an expanding age pyramid, that means there are more youngsters. I mean, the reproductive and pre-reproductive group members are more. So, there will be an immediate increase. It shows sudden expansion, growing. It's a growing population. Means there are more reproductive and pre-reproductive age groups compared to this post-reproductive age group. So, it is showing an expansion, growth. Okay, that means it is a positively. I mean, B minus D, birth rate minus death rate is positive value there. When we compare birth rate and death rate, B minus D value, it will be positive. That means birth rate will be more in expanding population. Keep in mind, in expanding population, B minus D, the birth rate minus death rate will be positive value. Okay, because it is having more reproductively aged group members, so birth will be more compared to death. Okay, whereas here in a stable population, we can say the groups are age distribution. The age groups are more or less in equilibrium. So here birth rate will be equaling to death rate. Birth rate equals to death rate. So it is having a zero effect. It is a stable population, we say. Okay, a stable population is showing no any growth, no any decline. There is birth rate is equal to death rate. So there is zero effect, neutral effect. It's a stable population, constant. Okay, so its shape is, it is bell shaped. It is said to be bell shaped. This shape is bell shaped. This is triangular shape. Okay, the last type. It's a declining population. Its shape is called an urn shape. Okay, urn shape means the base is narrow. That means the pre-reproductive and reproductive groups are comparatively less and more will be post-reproductive group. So there will be an increase in the death. Okay, so it shows B minus D value it is negative here. B minus D value, birth rate minus death rate. That means death is more compared to birth. because post-reproductive age groups are comparatively more. Okay, so this is a declining population. There is no growth. It is not stable, but it is showing a declining, degrowing population. Okay, this is what about the age pyramids. Keep in mind, age pyramids are the pyramids drawn by considering age distribution and population density. Okay, in the same age pyramid, one side we can represent male and other side female. The sex ratio can also be included in the same representation. Okay, then that population sex ratio also will be revealed. So keep in mind, an age pyramid is the pyramid representation of age groups or age distribution of a population. The three types of age pyramids are expanding triangular shape, stable bell shape, then declining urn shape. Okay, from the shape itself you can understand the triangular shape, there is what? More, the lower tier more, and it is showing a growth because birth rate is more. B minus B is a positive value here. Okay, whereas in the middle, the stable type, B minus B is equal to 0. That means it is having no any effect. The birth rate minus death rate almost equal means no effect, it is almost constant. Stable population it is. Okay, the last one, a declining population is showing more post-reproductive group. Then there will be more death compared to birth. So B minus B value will be negative. So it is showing a decline, and the shape of the distribution age pyramid is urn shape. Is it okay? So if this first three attributes are clear, means shall we move to the next attribute of a population? The first one birth rate, second one death rate, per capita increase, per capita decrease, and the third one, okay, sex ratio, and the sex ratio itself can be accommodated here. What is that? Age pyramid, age distribution. Okay, sex ratio, age distribution, both can be included in age pyramids. Okay, plotting age distribution again as population density, the number of individuals. So just keep in mind our next factor, the next character of population is population density. Population density is represented by the letter N. Okay, what is meant by population density? In simple sense, we can call it as population size. Population density means what? Human population density means what? An area is more dense with an individual population means what? It represents what? There are more number of individuals. Okay, understand population density is mostly measured in terms of number. So, population density is measured in terms of number in almost all major cases. For example, human density is taken by human population density is counted by counting individual human. Okay, and the fish population density, tiger population density, okay, plantation crops density, and all these cases we consider the number of individuals. Okay, how to take census of fishes in a pond? Usually, how we take number of fishes in a pond? It is a reliable measure is counting the number of individuals caught, number of fishes caught by trap. Okay, that's a reliable measure. We just count the number of fishes caught per one trap. Okay, that is the relative measure of the population density of fishes in the pond or in a water body. Similarly, how we take the census of tigers in a forest? It is by, it's not by counting the tiger. Okay, it is done by counting the pug marks. Okay, the pug marks of the tiger or its fecal pellets, deposits. Okay, anyway, there are a number of methods, interesting methods to calculate the population density, to count the number of individuals. Number of individuals is the most common measure of the parameter to measure what? Population density. Whereas, when we compare a very big, huge tree and number of tiny plants under that, when we take its value, consider its value based on the number, it becomes meaningless. Okay, the population density, when we say plants, 200 small plants or 300 small plants may be occupying a very limited area. but the canopy of the tree is occupying a very large area. So we cannot say the number is a reliable measure there. It will be meaningless. So such cases, we consider the biomass or percentage cover as the parameter to measure population density. The most commonly population density is measured in terms of number, and it can be also measured in terms of biomass or percentage cover. Okay, it is applicable when we discuss about the very big trees and the small organisms, phytoplanktons and very big plant like. Okay, and anyway you know that the population size varies from few number to millions. Just for an example, in a pond, the large fishes may be countable in number, whereas the phytoplanktons, the zooplanktons may be in millions. So the population size varies from few to millions. Anyway, population density is mostly calculated by counting in terms of number. It can be also calculated by noting the biomass or percentage cover. Okay, and then let us discuss what are the factors which affect population density of an area. The factors which affect population density of an area. You know it very clearly. The population density of an area can be affected by these four major factors. It is natality, the birth rate, then mortality, the death rate, then immigration, inward entry, then emigration, outward movement. Suppose a population in a limited area. Okay, what can cause an increase in population? Some number of individuals are inhabiting an area. Okay, typical number of individuals are inhabiting an area. Then this population density can be added due to a birth. Okay, when this population inside reproduce, and this can increase the number. So we can say birth, natality, okay, is a positive factor which increases the population density. So natality is a plus factor. Similarly, if individuals of the same species get into that population from outside, from elsewhere, that itself also a positive factor. So immigration I is also a plus factor. That means in a population, if individuals of the same species get into, immigrate or migrate from elsewhere, we can call it as a plus factor. So immigration adds to the population density. Whereas the mortality, the same area, when death occurs, it decreases the population density. So it's a negative factor. Mortality, the death rate is a negative factor represented by D. Okay, then same way emigration. If some of the individuals of the population move to somewhere else, then it declines the population density. That is a minus factor. Okay, so this is the representation. Population density plus factors are natality and immigration are plus factors. Then mortality and immigration are minus negative factors which decreases population density. So here there is a equation, just very simple equation. You know it very easily. That is a population density after a time t plus 1. Okay, nt plus 1. Okay, population density after a time is equal to initial population density nt plus what are the factors added? Birth plus immigration added. Natality plus immigration added. Then what is subtracted? Death rate plus immigration subtracted. So population density after time t is equal to nt plus 1 is equal to nt plus birth rate plus immigration minus death rate plus immigration. Just keep in mind, very simple equation. Okay, then let's discuss a small, very important concept, population growth models. Okay, do you think the population shows a definite growth pattern, or it grows, okay, in a indefinite pattern? Usually we can say the population, any type of population, it follows a definite pattern of growth that we are representing as growth models. Some type of organisms in nature, when there are unlimited supply of resources, if there are enough resources to grow, they grow unimpeded. Okay, there are some populations which show unimpeded growth in a particular time or duration due to unlimited supply of resources. Okay, suppose in a limited area, if there are unlimited supply of resources, the organisms can grow unimpeded. There is no any check, no any control. Okay, such type of growth is the pattern is exhibited by some population. Such type of a growth we can call as an exponential growth. It is giving a J-shaped curve. Okay, exponential growth is giving a J-shaped growth. First condition, there is unlimited supply of resources. Okay, resources are in plenty. So whatever is the number, it can be accommodated and again it can grow and multiply. Such type of a growth curve is J-shaped. Initially small growing, okay, getting into, then sudden rise. Okay, and that organism suddenly die also after the lifespan. Okay, so this is represented as J-shaped curve, and it is what type of growth? Exponential growth. Almost all exponential phase the organisms are always in the log phase, logarithmic growth phase. Okay, there is main reason is there is unlimited supply of resources. Resources are in plenty. But you know, in nature, this type of a growth is normally rare. The reason is, suppose it's a square plot. We have some plants there. Okay, and they grow, reproduce, again grow, reproduce. But there is a limit. There is a limit for that plot to accommodate. How many to accommodate? And only that many nutrients it can give. Beyond that, the plant become infertile. That means we can say in nature, always there is carrying capacity. Okay, and any type of ecosystem is having a carrying capacity, and beyond the carrying capacity, it cannot support the organisms. So, most of the populations, there is, instead of J-shaped growth, there is S-shaped growth curve. We can call it as the real logistic growth. So, which is the realistic growth? The second one, S-shaped growth. So, suppose in a plot, initially there is a log phase, a small, getting into the organisms are gradually growing. Then there is an increased growth phase, log phase, exponential growth phase. But now it's a plenty, the organisms, resources are getting limited. So, that much only it can be accommodated. Beyond that number, it cannot be accommodated. So, what is the maximum number? It is the carrying capacity K. K is represented as what? Carrying capacity. Okay, this is the carrying capacity. Beyond that, there is no increase. There is stationary level. It will remain steady at carrying capacity. So, understand, this is the most realistic model in nature, where nature support a number of individuals with that particular limited resources. Okay, unlimited supply is rare. Okay, that is called the carrying capacity. Up to carrying capacity, it can be increased. The number can be increased. Beyond that, it cannot increase. So, it will remain stationary. So, it's an S-shaped growth curve. It is called sigmoid growth curve. Another name, geometric growth, the realistic model. Verhulst-Pearl logistic growth curve. Verhulst-Pearl logistic growth curve. It's a sigmoid S-shaped growth curve. Okay, and what is the maximum? It's a carrying capacity. Beyond that, there is no growth in population density. Okay, so that is what is about the two shapes of the graph. Two types of growth models based on the shape, J-shaped, S-shaped. They are exponential growth curve and logistic growth curve. And J-shaped growth curve is rare in nature. It occurs only when the resources are unlimited. And the realistic model is S-shaped, where there is initially lag phase, then the exponential phase, then stationary phase. Stationary phase at carrying capacity. Okay, then that's about the growth models. Then when we derive equation for J-shaped growth curve, we can say its rate of change of population density, dn by dt. The population density change equals to what? Birth rate minus death rate into n. That means the change in population density equals to what is initial population density and what is the number increased. Okay, B minus D. And the B minus D here is considered as R. Okay, the value R is known as intrinsic rate of natural increase. Intrinsic rate of natural increase. So this is the equation for what? J-shaped. So this is the equation for J-shaped growth curve dn by dt. I mean the change in population density equal to population density into B minus D, the birth rate minus. Under natural condition, immigration and emigration are not the factors. Birth rate and death rate only we consider. So B minus D is the increase. Okay, birth rate minus death rate is the increase. So that into initial population density. So dn by dt is equal to B minus D into n. Okay, the B minus D is considered as a value R. Okay, B minus D is equal to R. We are representing it by R. R is what? Natural increase rate. Intrinsic rate of natural increase. Okay, so when we take it in logarithmic case, the equation is represented as nt equal to n0 e raised to rt. Okay, where nt is the population density after a time t, n0 is the initial population density, e is the base of natural logarithm, okay, r you know time t. Okay, so nt equals to n0 e raised to rt. Then let us consider what is the equation for sigmoid curve. I think it's clear what's the equation for J-shaped growth curve. The rate of change of population density. The change in population density equal to Rn. That change R is B minus D. So value given, I mean R is the B minus D, birth rate minus death rate. That means a natural increase. Okay. Then when we take the exponential, the equation can be Nt is equal to population density after time is equal to N0, the initial population density at the time 0, e raised to Rt. E is the base of the natural logarithm, value 2.718 you know, and R you know it's B minus D, the natural rate of increase, intrinsic rate of natural increase, then T is the time. Okay, so just there won't be any much calculation based on this for you, just study the graph and study the equations. Okay, then the other case, the S-shaped growth form. Okay, how to derive it? There is we have to consider K value in account. Okay, so what is the rate of change of population density for an S-shaped growth model? dn by dt, the rate of change in population density equals Rn, that means the intrinsic rate of natural increase, and B minus D into N into K minus N by K. This is the equation. That means we are considering the K value here, carrying capacity here. So what is K? K is the carrying capacity of nature. Okay, beyond that there is no increase, carrying capacity. So it can be also written as Rn into 1 minus N by K. Okay, so this is the equation for an S-shaped growth curve. So everybody must keep in mind the two equations, equation for the J-shaped growth curve and also the S-shaped growth curve. dn by dt equal to Rn for J-shaped growth curve and dn by dt equal to Rn into the carrying capacity factor K minus N by K for S-shaped growth curve. Okay, it's further elaboration we do in the live session. Okay, so we are just winding up with the population attributes here, and in the next class we will discuss about the different population interactions. Okay, so I think it's almost clear and it's further elaboration we do in the live session. Thank you.